introduced to local councils. Away from New Vision, Salon Compass newspaper reads on its front page, BO betrays ECOWAS. Tumac vies for APC deputy regional chairman. Africell Well Woman Clinic provide free breast cancer screening. And as landlord gives quiet notice, SLPP regional office turns thug dump sites. Away from Salon Compass, Heritage has on its front page, cyber crimes surge by 37% as usage of internet increases. EU envoy meets Iranian minister and Taliban delegation to visit Russia. For a healthy workforce, Africell staff benefits from free breast cancer screening. Momentum reads on its front page, fears over warm temperature, COVID-19 death hits lowest level in nearly a year, says WHO. Africell undertakes free breast cancer screening. And those are the stories you can find yourself on the front page of the Momentum newspaper. And finally, Night Watch reads on its front page, President Bio worried over diplomats' boycott. Ballot box coup, and in Lawrence Lima matter, 1 discharge, 2 sentence. In Kenema, Seratel is cashless, workers deprived. Those are the stories you can find yourself on the front page of the Night's Watch newspaper. And in the studios this morning to help us analyze a lot of stories here on a Friday, I do have Willie Fidel Bokno, who is a civil rights activist. Willie, it's a pleasure having you.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
And Alhaji Saidu Kama, a very senior colleague in the media landscape. Alhaji, it's always a pleasure having you.
Samali Bank, thank you for having me.
Okay, you've had a lot of stories that we had with us this morning here, and now on the front page of your wide newspaper. Of course, you and I know the president is currently in Dubai, attending the Dubai Expo. And yesterday we saw chunks of a whole lot of Sierra Leoneans within the entertainment industry, specifically so Ami Kalon, thrilled yesterday's session, wherein the president was left with no option but to get up and follow the rhythm of the beats from Madam Hami Kalon. I start off with Al Haji, your take on that one. The president's visit and other issues surrounding it.
Thank you very much. I think that story is very important because the story is trying to tell us about Sierra Leone potential displaying in foreign countries where they have this expo. This is the first time they are having this over 190 countries. Everybody is going there to display their talents, cultural talents, including technical and what you have to show that what Salon can able to do. And it was very interesting yesterday, as you said, whilst we have our own renowned Ambe Kalon displaying her talents with her group. You understand? Everybody was watching. I think to a point that His Excellency the President has no option. Will stand up and then join because of the tune of the cultural music, you understand? And everybody was enjoying it. And other nationalities were there, seeing how Sierra displaying. I think this type of exposure is very good because at the end of the day, it will also help to bring some investors to come and invest in Sierra Leone. That is one of the most important significance of that visit because they can able to interact with Sierra Leoneans there and tell them about our country, what we have, what we to do so that they can come and invest in various areas. This also will help us to develop from one state to another because we cannot live in isolation. We need other investors, other people to come and invest in this country. And I think this expo will be one which we have displayed our potential, and I believe people will definitely will come at the end of the day after this expo because we have already exposed all our talent there in terms of in the area of the entertainment. Because you see a good number of musicians there displaying their talent. Okay. By so doing, other people come in and try to see what they are going to do in Sierra Leone to see that we move forward because it's very, very important.
The president's visit at the expo is one which so many people have questioned, taking into consideration the caliber of person he is. And even though some of us do hold a diverse opinions to that one, because his presence there tells you how keen he is to ensure that people do visit the country. But we are here expecting a statesman of that caliber to visit, to attend Expo of Self.
Of course, because you see, beside him, you have other heads of states who witness that particular ceremony, because you are going there to sell your country, you understand? I also learned about another African leader, Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, you understand? Explaining that this country, you understand, UAE, United Arab Emirates, was what? Was full of desert, but they have now transformed that country, you understand, with full of potential, magnificent buildings, you understand? So he said that we also in Africa, we can able to, based upon what we have, our mineral resources, while he was addressing the expo. These are some of the things he said, you understand? And besides, other countries are there, over 190 countries around the world witness that type of occasion. Everybody come with their own potential, what they have, displaying their talent in various areas, in the cultural area, those in the tourism sector, those in the engineering and other areas of interest. By so doing, you understand, at the end of the day, you have other people who want to say, okay, I want to partner with Sierra Leone in terms of development, or in terms of culture, in terms of tourism. We also have this potential, but I believe if we partner with Sierra Leone, definitely we are going to move forward. And one way to have that assurance is when you have the president, the head of state, addressing that type of gathering, telling the people, definitely it will attract people to come, so that these people are very interested. The fact that no less a person, but the head of state decided to attend that conference to explain about the potential we have. Let him come and tap some of these potential so that we can move this country forward. I think it's a laudable venture. So definitely, I'm the opinion that it's very good that the president attended the exposure.
Having filled with a taste of Sierra Leone's culture and entertainment, I believe most investors, most people who were there yesterday, are now so very much interested in visiting Sierra Leone in the not too distant future, say for instance by December this year. But I also in Willie, of course, the expo is ongoing in Dubai. We are in Sierra Leone yesterday. It was our day, and entertainers from across Sierra Leone had to performed yesterday live in Dubai.
I think it is a good one for Sierra Leone. And when you go back to the manifesto of His Excellency the President, you find out that he is so passionate about tourism and our culture. And this is one of the promises that he gave, that he's going to ensure that he sells Sierra Leone internationally. And it's not a surprise that Sierra Leone is part and parcel of this particular Expo 2020 as being branded. And I think I must commend the government for short a laudable venture. And yesterday it all happens, and we saw we are in Sierra Leone, the Sierra Leonean artists and all, you understand, displaying the Sierra Leonean culture, you understand, for potential would-be investors. I think it is a good one, but the other area that I'm looking at is, are we prepared to welcome these investors? That is another area. Is the government prepared? And I was looking at the entire situation that I think this has to do with the Ministry of Tourism, you understand? And in the entire situation, I don't think the tourism ministry has been involved from what I'm seeing, you understand? And that's a blackout to them, and I think it is really unfortunate, and the president needs to rethink. And it is not every display that, we need the president to, be invited and be visited, because when you look at the situation right now in the country, we have a series of economic issues. People are, complaining here and there, the hue and cry is everywhere. And we're expecting the president to be around to ensure that he's able to, nurture some of these complaints to the expectation of the people. But the fact that the Ministry of Tourism was left out, I think it is really unfortunate on the part of the government. But all said and done, it is good for Sierra Leone. And we hope in the near future, you understand, we have these investors that we are actually anticipating to have. And the other situation that Sierra Leoneans are complaining, and I was actually fortunate to go through the social media, you understand. I don't know how certain that is, when you look at the money that was invested in this particular expo, you understand. People are saying that, they are alleging that it was $3 million, you understand. And I think at this particular moment that we have economic issues, I'm not looking directly at the situation of Sierra Leone, being involved. I'm looking at the economic issues that we have at this particular moment. And when you look at this entire situation, I think It is only 2 or 3 presidents that witnessed the expo. So at this particular moment, what we need to do, we need to ensure that we promote our ministries, more especially line ministries, dealing with some of these issues. And this is not the first time. We've had issues wherein, the ministry, they've been working so hard to ensure that they bring in investors. And you know about the story of Idris Elba, one of, I think he's a Sierra Leonean.
He's a Sierra Leonean.
Yeah, by inheritance. So
Sierra
when you
Leonean by birth.
By birth, okay.
He's a
So
Sierra Leonean
when
by
you
birth.
look at that situation, he came to Sierra Leone, he visited the Burnt Island. At the end of the day, the people were left out. You understand? No information pertaining that particular investment because we are told that about $1 million, will be invested. And as I'm talking, up to now, we are yet to know exactly, the outcome of that particular project. Okay. And there are other investments in Sierra Leone that investors they visited, and at the end of the day, no result. So is the government prepared at this particular moment to ensure that if at the end of the day we have this would-be investors, you understand, can they create a platform for them? Okay. Can it be actualized? That is the situation. It's not about bringing in the investors and at the end of the day, no result. We want result because when you look at the money invested, it is so high and people are crying, you understand? So people are crying and they need investment. So I think it's a good one, seeing Sierra Leone at the center stage. As a Sierra Leonean, I'm proud of that. And I want to say kudos to them. And more especially and specifically to the office of the First Lady. She's out there, trying to display Sierra Leonean culture internationally. I think it's a good one for Sierra Leone.
Okay, still, now on the front page of political newspaper, it has a story that reads, father impregnates daughter age 17. I think these ugly incidents, I say ugly because I think that's the only diction to use to those kind of words. It's unimaginable. This incident happened in Cambia district in the northern region of the country. But I start off with Al-Haji.
Yes.
Is it thinkable?
Well, very, very unthinkable. You understand? Because it is not the norm, it's not the tradition, especially for us Africans. Okay, maybe you can say so other parts of the world. But as far as we are Africans,
West
Africans
Africans.
to be precise, this situation, everybody was surprised when we heard about this news. For a father, okay, taking care of your daughter, seeing her developing, then for you to have that thinking, to have that thoughts, to a point that you continue to have sexual intercourse with her, to impregnate her, it was unimaginable. Everybody was surprised. Everybody was amazed why this thing happened. But when even the holy books, the 2 holy books, I'm talking about the Holy Quran and the Holy Bibles, frown on this type of acts. There are certain verses within the Holy Quran as well as in the Holy Bible who talks about this type of issue. So it's very, very unfortunate for such a man to behave like this. You continuously having sexual intercourse with your daughter to a point that you have to impregnate her. It's unfortunate. Although there are certain people who are saying, along Franca, so say that, cook soup and not eat some. Not in this type of contest. You understand what I mean? You understand? Not in this type of contest for you to have your daughter, care for her, train her, then you see her developing, then you have that thought to have sex with her. It's unthinkable. But thanks to God, I think it's now before the law.
Sure.
Before no laughing judge, I'm saying beside in Georgia,
Justice Mwega Stevens.
Justice Alhaji Mwega Stephen. I know he set a bright example to him, so that, and this will serve as a lesson for other anyone who want to follow that type of act, or who in fact still on that act should deviate. And for any child who I believe encounters such abuse should have stiff resistance from his father and report the matter immediately to the police or to any other family members, so that they can put a deterrent. Enough is enough, because this type of stories, in fact, it's unacceptable. people will try to surprise you. What type of Sierra Leonean are we? Especially when in the international news, they heard about this type of news. It's unacceptable. Okay. And that's why we are happy that this man is before the law, and we that the law will take a full action so that we serve as a deterrent.
Okay. Willie, just as I asked Al-Hajj earlier on, the incident is one that is unthinkable. You cannot just imagine. A father is alleged to have impregnated, her daughter.
Yeah. It is really unfortunate. This is not the first. I think this was captured, but it is not the first, you understand? More especially, some of us, we are actually fortunate to be moving from one point to another point, and there are lots of these issues, you understand? And even if you go to the Bible, in the book of Leviticus, it is forbidden. Even in the Holy Quran, I think it is also forbidden. But when you look at the benchmarks of our society, whether it is acceptable or it is not acceptable, it has to do with the local authorities, more especially our local chiefs, you understand? There was an issue of one lady in Kailan, I think in Kailan, and her daughter was raped by, I think, the uncle, who happens to be a PhD holder. But I don't know the connection that it has with the government, you understand? And that issue was actually, I think, picked up by Asma Kamara James. I listened to that issue. It was so unfortunate. The lady came to Freetown. She was actually crying, appealing for Sierra Leoneans, to rescue that situation. Because at the end of the day, the society was actually fawning at her, thinking that he's just there to smear the good name of the individual, And at the end of the day, the campaigns were on, you understand? Now, I was part of a team that campaigned for the sexual courts to be established. We have the sexual emergency courts in operation as I'm speaking, you understand? So some of these things, we need to capture them, and it is not only to capture them on the papers. We want action, because there are other girls that are going through these unfortunate situations, but it is very difficult for them to come out and speak. But it is good now that the media is capturing some of these issues. We have them everywhere in this country, but they are afraid to just come up and speak that I'm going through this situation. You understand? I'm going through this situation. And I'm also calling on the judiciary. Some of these things, what we need is, we need speedy judgment to some of these issues. We don't need delays, because delay in justice, it is really unfortunate in this country that some of these issues, they are delayed. So that is why the perpetrators are still into some of these acts. So what I want to say kudos to the media that captured this issue, and I also want to thank the child for the boldness, for her to come up and speak. And also I'm calling on the Ministry of Local Government for them to keep engaging our local authorities, our paramount chiefs, and some of this. Because sometimes they even threaten these children that if you go talk, at the end of the day, will banish you. So these are the everyday situation in our society. We need to engage them. These are forbidden issues. So we need to engage them, for them to be proactive in some of these issues, for them to also be able to, link up with the media, ensure that you're able to expose some of these things. Because it is really, really unfortunate, and I'm looking forward to the judgment. I hope at the end of the day, it will be a win situation for the women of this country.
Still, as we talk on issues having to do with the judiciary, High Court sits in Kailan, in Koindu, I beg your pardon, for the first time. Kailan resident George talks tough. I think it's a welcoming story. The fact is that justice has been taken to the doorsteps of every corner of this country. Now it's Koindu. We all know how the population in Koindu town and even its surrounding villages, and seeing the High Court, seeing a courts now being established within that part, I think it's a welcoming news. But I start with you, Al-Haji.
It's a clear manifestation. The head of the judiciary, happened that the Chief Justice, is determined. He wanted to see that justice is dispensed in every corner of Sierra Leone. And in that particular area, Koidu town, you understand, Kailan district. In fact, it's unfortunate, and that is why I want to commend the Chief Justice, Justice Desmond Edwards, for his initiative to ensure that justice will be in every part of Sierra Leone. we cannot be a sovereignty state, but when you have matter, you understand, it's also to preside for justice, you decide to take it to another country. You understand? Because most of these cases, when they have problems there, they decide to go to a neighboring country.
Yeah,
you understand? In Guinea.
neighboring.
Yes, because they are very close there. You understand? I think you have observed these things, and that's why this is the first time. Most of them who cannot able to come to Kenema because of the challenges, transportation, and so on and so forth, they have no option but to go there. And that is why everybody applaud the Chief Justice for this initiative. You understand? When they decide to say that they can preside over any matter that people have found wanting the law. And you have Justice Frank Banks Kamara, who is the presiding judge, and then they start with the matter. Of course, I heard that most of the cases are there. It's just connected with this violation of the child, rape, etc., etc. Because people want to take it for granted that as long as you have developed, you have up to the age of 17, 18, you have breast, people can have sex with you, they marry with you, and so on and so forth. But contrary to the law, you understand? So I think the move is very, very good, and this is not the first time. We have seen that the judiciary is now expanding in different parts of the countries, you understand? So that shows that we live in a democratic system. When you say that we live in democracy, this has to happen because justice delays, justice denied, and then we don't want people to take the law into their hands. So I think this move is in the right direction. I want to thank the Chief Justice and hope he will continue.
The Chief Justice, during their conversation, had to assure the people of Koindo and Kailaon districts of zero crime rates in that entire region. Willie Fidebokno.
Well, first of all, I want to commend the effort of the Honorable Chief Justice, because for me, I think this is not a surprise. When you go to the report of Prison Watch, there are a lot of Sierra Leoneans that are actually going through these constraints. If you go to Bo, Kenema, and other parts of the country, there are people in these prison cells, that are there for over 5 years without justice. Some even 10 years without justice, just for common issues, you understand? Like, for example, there was a boy that was brought to Freetown, serving over 10 years in prison for just 100,000, and there was no justice. I think that was captured by Lab. So I think establishing this court system in all of the districts, I think it is a good one, and that will also help in reducing the crime rate. But I will not say zero crime rate, you understand? Because when you look at Koindo and Kailaon, it is one of the most populated areas in this country, you understand? And you think about job creation, it is poor. You think about the youths, they are not into jobs, you understand? And they are into drug addicting and all of this. It is really very difficult for you to just establish the system, and at the end of the day, you promise. What I'm expecting and what I'm actually looking at is the question of the effectiveness and the sustainability of it. You understand? It is not that you just start it, and at the end of the day, it's very difficult for the judge or whosoever to, locate some of these areas. But I think it is a good one for Sierra Leone, and this has been the crying of the people, and I hope they'll continue. You understand? Because it has to be sustainable. So I hope at the end of the day, they will be able to engage the people of Kailaon and Koindo, that now you have this opportunity, make use of it and protect it, you understand? Because that is one of the responsibility of citizens, you understand? So promising them that there will be zero crime rate, I think that statement for me is not, realistic.
Now, on the front of Standard Times, it reads, shameful, SLPP served quit notice in Kenema. Alhaji, if this is something to go by, I think it's a blow on the face of SLPP. Let me just take an excerpt.
Exactly.
It reads, notice to vacate due to disappointment, ungratefulness, failure to pay rent, insurance, etc., was served by the landlord of the office occupied by the Serene People's Party, SLPP, at Hanga Road in Kenema. The letter dated 10 October 2021 and titled Notice to Vacate Premises at 18 Hanga Road, Kenema, came at a time when the SLPP leader, President Julius Malabio, is in Dubai attending the 2020 Expo. That's just a tip of the iceberg to that story.
Well, to be very frank with you, if that story is correct,
So that's what I said. It's
Exactly.
something to go by.
Exactly.
You just imagine.
No, exactly.
That's a
if
blown
that
face.
story is correct, just like what you have just said, you understand, and then I have to subscribe and join it to say, yes, it's a disgrace. It's shameful, to be very frank with you, because you cannot find a ruling party, okay, then you cannot able to take care of your
having an
offices.
office of their own,
You
even in
understand?
Kenema.
Even in the Kenema district, okay, which I believe is one of the headquarter town in the eastern region, okay. You don't have an office. You get to a point that they serve you a letter. I mean, it's unacceptable. It shows that the executive there, they are not up to the tax, you see, and other SLPP stakeholders, they cannot sit until this situation comes. That's why, if that's why I want to blame also the executive members of the Eastern region.
Not only the Eastern region executive, even the national executive.
Yeah,
for this one.
maybe I am saying this because maybe to a point they are not aware. You understand? I stand to be corrected. You understand? Because when the sitting executive there, you understand, if they have this type of problem, they should have communicated instantly so that they can address the situation. They cannot go to that far. And besides, I'm sure maybe the landlord, in fact, is also part and parcel of the SLPP. Maybe, you understand. So they cannot go to that situation. They should have resolved that issue, you understand, very speedily so that they cannot get to that shame and disgrace. Thanks.
Willie?
For me, I think it is a slap on their faces, and presently they are actually trying to renovate the edifice at Wallace Johnson Street. And I think it's a good one for them, you know. And one of the things they criticized during this course of the APC was that the APC were into building lots of party offices, you understand? So at the end of the day, when you go through the content of this particular caption, there is this issue of disappointment, you understand? And I will not say maybe probably the SLPP is incapable of paying the rent, because when you look at Kenema,
That will never be the
their
case.
stronghold.
That will never be the case.
Kenema is their stronghold. But when you look at the issue of disappointment on the line, you know that maybe the owner of the building was promised and failed. Maybe that was why he decided to take up short actions. It is not that the party cannot afford to pay rent, because as of this situation, I understand that the SLPP are constructing their party office in Kenema. To my understanding, I don't know whether it has been completed or not, but maybe probably, and when you look at it logically, maybe they want to transfer.
Perhaps this was done out of anger.
Anger.
Yeah.
I know it is out of
This
anger.
might be done out of
maybe
anger.
the individual was promised.
This might be done out of
yeah,
anger.
because when you read the entire thing, there is this issue of disappointment. Maybe he was promised a job or whatsoever. At the end of the day,
I think
so that is why
I think one
I
will
am
not subscribe
calling
to the fact that maybe it was promised.
Well,
It was rarely mentioned. Because yes,
well, that is the order of the day. Because even at this mile 6 or so, there's another individual that is going through the same constraints. You understand? He gave up his house for the SLPP to use it as a party office, and at the end of the day, as I'm speaking to you now, is yet to be attached as promised by the SLPP. You understand? So it might happen that this is the same situation. But I will not say the SLPP cannot afford to pay it, more especially in their own stronghold of Kenema. It is impossible. So I just believe that it is out of anger and disappointment. So what I'm expecting this moment is for the SLPP to come out with a very strong statement, condemning short act. I believe in the proactiveness of their Secretary General.
so definite. Now we take a story that is published on the front page of a Wive newspaper and also other papers. It reads, Abacha, don't chacha Abacha. Just as it's published on another paper, it reads, the streets are not to be Operation Restore Order commences. The streets are not to be occupied by traders, but for people to walk freely in, including vehicles. So says the Road Safety Authority and even the police. I start off with you, Willie. Abacha, don't chacha Abacha, and also now statements coming from
this
authorities
has to
saying,
do with the press release that came out, I think, 2 or 3 months ago from the Sierra Leone Road Safety Authority, condemning street trading, you understand? And at the end of the day, I think they engage the city council for these people to be relocated. And I think Bay was, I marked as one of the potential destinations for them, that they are going to construct a market for them, you understand? But the market is set to be constructed.
so where will they take those who are residing at Bay?
Well, you know, Bay, as I'm speaking, even during the course of the APC, this relocation process was on. Even land were actually given to them for them to relocate. And at the end of the day, they refused. So you cannot stop developmental project, more especially undertaken by government. It is impossible. So what I know is bail was IMACT according to the press release that was out from the Sierra Leone Road Safety Authority, and they were expecting for them to construct this market, and after that, these people were actually to be relocated, and park was also another solution for them to be relocated. But at the end of the day, I think they have this issue of the cost, you understand, for one to have an outlet at Victoria Park. It is so expensive, so the cost. And at the end of the day, if I have a market that is within 1 million and I have to pay a yearly rent of 3 or 4, 5 million, it is impossible. So for them to just pick up or capture this situation at this particular moment that the market is yet to be constructed, I think it is unfortunate, and that is why Abacha is chachaing Abacha at this moment, because the people are refusing to relocate.
This is not the first time we're seeing, this time around it's not, you will not say the government, but this is not the first time we've seen the police, harassing people to leave places that are uncalled for. These are not business places. That's the fact. But however, this is not the first time you're seeing this one. Many times you see whenever the police take up on themselves to take up this operation, this kind of operation, you see people try to politicize their operations. And this time around, they've commenced their operations across various parts within the country. Abacha is one, Lomli is another one, and they've made it categorically clear that the streets are not meant for trading, but it's for pedestrians to walk freely and also for vehicles to ply freely, Al-Haji.
Thank you very much. Actually, in discussing this issue, you have to look into various areas in terms to addressing this particular issue. I would say it's very unfortunate, and the timing, you understand, which coincides with economic situations, you understand, affecting the nation, and by extension, globally, due to what the coronavirus pandemic, you understand. And then, majority of our Sierra Leonean populace, a good number, about 60% or 70% of the Sierra Leonean populace depend on trading. And most of these traders are taking care of the home. Okay? This is one aspect. For the police to remove them in the streets, I have no problem with that. What I'm against maybe is the way and manner
in which the operation was done.
Exactly, you understand. Okay? Firstly, I would expect them, they should hold a meeting with them, explain to them, okay? Discuss about the issue. Because even though they are training there, they have certain specific areas allocated to them. As you said, this is not the first time. Both governments, successive governments, are trying to see that to push traders, because at the end of the day, it will not go good image to the country, right? We don't want to see traders in every part of the city like that, at randomly in every part of this city, both in the central, far east, far west, in every street. I think the only area that is exempted from street trading is within the axis of the State Avenue. Okay, in my own view, that's where I see it. But all other areas. So if SLR and the police want to do these things, yes, you should inform them earlier so that they can able to relocate. And that's one. And secondly, the way and manner the police destroy their warehouses, you understand? This also did not go down well with the traders. And that is why they said they want to, what is the headline?
Abacha don't chacha Abacha.
Well, you see, because they are not happy, you understand? You see, okay, if you just say, okay, vacate from this place, take your belongings, your stalls and so on and so forth, your tables, etc., without destroying them. They said some of the police also take some of their goods, destroying their goods, you see, which in my own view, did not done well. They should remove them because they wanted to beautify the city. You can go into other African cities, yes, you have certain areas which are not allowed street trading. Then you can go into other areas, you'll be amazed. You understand, as if as you are in Abacha. For some of us who have traveled in some parts in the sub-region like Senegal, Nigeria, Ghana, etc. Not every part, but here in Freetown, governments, successive governments have tried to see how best they are going to address the issue of traders. It is still a turning issue. We hope this time around they should see how best they can try to address it, because it also has a political issue. No sooner you touch these traders, you understand, and definitely, if they say they are going to retaliate, it affects the ruling party. You understand? Because by extension, these traders, they are talking to the people. You understand?
Because
Their customers.
unfortunately, just when the police commenced their operations around Sani Abacha Street, you see most of these traders they took to the streets. They had to carry on blockades and other things. They say no vehicle will fly this area, no car will pass through.
Exactly.
But
you see,
just like what Alaji said, it has a political undertone. You understand? And as a Sierra Leonean,
and that's something we should desist from.
I think as a Sierra Leonean, it is good that the SLISA are actually embarking on short moves. You understand? Because that area is so congested. You understand? So the area that I'm looking at is also for the government to be able to provide the facilities for them, and more especially, Alaji was talking about the issue of these economic issues that we have. Some of these traders, they are actually the head of the home, you understand? They provide for the families, you understand? So what I'm thinking is we need to engage them. That was my expectation for the SLISA to engage these traders, you know? And as to future plans, and at the end of the day, if they fail to comply, then, you know, they will have the penalty. But you cannot allow them to go for the night, and before the morning, then you destroy their facilities. It is really unfortunate. Okay. What we need is to engage them, and also for these politicians, for us to name and shame them, you understand? Because when it is time for politics, they will come and say, oh, nobody need to know. You understand? This is the confidence. And at the end of the day, when you chase them out, they'll go to State House, they'll go to the office of the First Lady, they'll go to, you know, the head of the police and all of this, saying that now who they vote to, now who get free talk. And at the end of the day, they'll be protected, you know, and the effort of the institution becomes null and void. Okay. So that's the situation.
Well, now, even though one paper is asking Abdullahi Sidibe where is the 100 buses, another paper carries this story that says Ward C promises to buy 20 buses for residents. We have here the photograph of Casual and Coal. I think this promise is being pegged around the budgetary allocation. There would be the proposed budgetary allocation for the fiscal year 2022. 20 buses for the Western Area Rural District towards C. I think if this vision is, because it's a vision, if this strategic vision is actualized, it will ease the transport difficulties within that part of the country. Because you and I know how tedious it is moving from Waterloo to Freetown.
Sure. I think, first of all, I want to thank the political head of that particular region, Kasho Olamukol. You see, political leaders should try to come in terms with the suffering of the people and find ways and means on how to address those issues. That is why they elect you there. I'm sure Kasha Olamukol have discovered that his people within the Waterloo axis are suffering from moving from Waterloo to Freetown and back. They have encountered a lot of challenges. He has thought it fit that let us try to minimize or try to put an end to this suffering. And see that they have about
35 seater boxes.
Yes, 35 seater box, 20 of them. That will go a long way to cushion down the plight of the people who are living in that part of the city. They are having sleepless nights, to be very frank with you. Some have to go bed maybe by 9:30 latest, because they have to wake as far as 4:30. You understand?
Yeah.
If they want to come Freetown as early as possible. And that's when, in fact, when they come, some of them will still sleeping. They continue the rest of their sleeping. These are some of the problems they are facing. So if the chairman for the Waterloo District Council, Kasho Olamukol, decided to make this suggestion that he will send some of his staff to go to China and look for the best quality of this so that they can come. I think it's a welcome news for the people of Waterloo, considering the sufferings, you understand. And then you are asking whether if Abdullahi CDB.
Well, no. One paper is questioning CDB, but another paper is proposing that yes, we publish. But however, let me usher in Willie. Castro is making promises that they will procure 35 seater buses. Just as Alaji was saying, I have two of my colleagues, my classmates, who reside all the way in Waterloo. Mind you, when they have class at 8 in the morning, they will tell you, Samuel, I will have to wake up as early as 4, 5 o'clock
I'm
to
telling
ensure
you.
that I
Serious,
arrive
yeah.
early on campus. But that's the case. 20 buses. It's
I
just a
think
proposal.
it is a good one. It is for now a proposal, you understand, and I'm looking forward for it to be implemented. And then when you look at Waterloo is now one of the most highly populated, you know, in this county. And it was not properly planned, you understand, and the government was also not expecting that at the end of the day, Waterloo will actually have short population. But majority of the people in Waterloo, they are trading in Freetown, you understand. And that is why flying from Waterloo to Freetown, it is very difficult and expensive. And when you go to Bombay Street, you go to Kado Street, some of these areas, there are people that are coming from Waterloo. They find it very difficult to return, and at the end of the day, they have to sleep in these places, you understand, just for them to catch up the early morning and, you know, start their businesses. It is really a good one, just like I said. It is a proposal, you understand. I'll not even criticize the effort of Alhaji Sidibe because I have confidence in him. It's just that we have to encourage the private sector. We have to encourage Sierra Leoneans. We have the local content policies in place, and short Sierra Leoneans, I think, must be encouraged and promoted. But for the mayor, I think it is a good one. That is the hue and cry of the people residing in Waterloo.
Sure.
It is very difficult.
Sure.
We hope this will come to reality.
Well, now, as we try to wrap up the program, however, tomorrow, the Africa Young Voices Media Empire will lock horns with their sister organization, SLBC, at Calon Plain Field in Angola town. Of course, we've played SLBC like twice. We've had 2 encounters for which we won all of those encounters. During our first meeting, we won by a goal to nil. During our second meeting, we won by also a goal to.
So you sure that you're going to repeat it?
Wow. Yeah, sure. Alhaji, now we've had a situation where even the chairman and president of AYV is now in town, just to ensure that he's part of this game. But I will start off with Alhaji.
Well,
now, mind you, this, I believe, from according to what the CEO said, is to foster, media unity amongst our sister organization. Mind you, year in, year out, all throughout the year, we work. You know how tedious our profession is. You get for think for the public. You get for think for people,
Sure.
And so now we're organizing a match for the people to see the unity, for them to sense that kind of unity that exists between us and the SLBC.
First of all, I think Sierra Leoneans will take advantage of this situation. It's not only left between AYV
and SLBC,
and
sure.
SLBC, to be very frank, because these two institutions are providing vital information to them, to a point that if people do not listen to AYV or SLBC, maybe they are not feeling happy. Some of them did not know most of you people in person, you understand? They only heard about you or they see you in television. And they appreciate most of the work the media is doing here. It's unfortunate that they do not come with goods, you understand? When we go to other countries, our colleague in Ghana or Nigeria or in Senegal, when the journalists they do a very good thing, somebody will call you, appreciate you, either a car or some amount of money as token.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
To be very frank.
Yeah, you're right.
Understand?
Definitely.
Here we can understand the situation. You understand? But I think if you're having this type of match, I think it's for Sierra Leoneans to come and share you SLBC as well as AYV. You understand? Because the essence there is not much about winning. Okay, as you said, it should have the cohesiveness between the two teams to foster good cordial relationship. Because these are two leading institutions are providing vital information as far as Sierra Leone is concerned. So therefore, Freetonians and other Sierra Leoneans should also travel as you have this information. If you are residing in Kenema or in Bo, in Makeni, take your transport, or you leave very early because I learned that the game is going to be
at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
At 3 p.m.
So if you come back and then you watch so that you can able to socialize, it's a very good idea.
I think also from what the CEO said, this game will be broadcasted live because we want to defeat SLBC globally. Okay, we want our global viewers and listeners to see the other parts of some of us. It's not just
it's rather unfortunate before you come in. It's rather unfortunate because it's not the first time or neither the second time. I think this time Dan Moss and his players will determine this.
I was there this morning.
I think what I have to say is football na 90 minutes. You understand? It spares the character of the both sides. But at the end of the day, I think you guys are now globally, you know, you used to beat them when you are not globally. And now they are prepared to beat you now that you are globally, you understand? So it depends on the players, not the CEO, you understand? I don't know how effective and how, you know, prolific this CEO is.
He's
you
so very much
understand?
prolific.
Okay, if you say so, you understand? I have no doubt.
His name has been on the score sheet for both matches.
I have no doubt. I wish you well, and at the end of the day, you know, I hope, you know, this will help to unite the media landscape. You know, that is the most important thing. And also, I want to also use this opportunity to also appeal to Sierra Leone Road Transport Authority and the IMFA for this road, for Abbey Road to Kleintown.
Okay.
You know, it is so dangerous at this particular moment.
Okay.
And I'm calling on them to please come to the aid of the people. You understand?
Thank you so very much, Willie Fidel Bokno and Alhaji Saidu Kamara. And Samuel Ibrahim Kuroma is my name. Again, the AYV and SLBC will lock on tomorrow at exactly 3 p.m. Angola Town, Kalon Field. And go there and cheer us up and take photograph with the people that you've been hearing on television, the people that you've been seeing on television, here on radio, and then enjoy yourself also with us. Thank you so very much. And this is how I say, have yourself a splendid day. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.